two or three things. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 budgets, 6 budgets that we're going to try to do today. The biggie will be the circuit clerk's budgets, plural. But before we get started, you know, I've been a little bit concerned, and Peggy has too. We talked about the downturn in the county general fund and why we fell below $1 million the other day, and we hadn't done that in like a year and a half. And the judge had asked Kelly and Peggy both to kind of look into that and see if we can figure out, you know, where our money had gone, was going, you know, were we overspending someplace in particular. And they found, and both of y'all can chime in as you wish, but they found that, yeah, there were some things that were up in spending, some things that were down in spending. The one big thing that stuck out to them, increased in spending, were the raises that we gave. That was $300,000 that wasn't in last year's budget, but now has been in this year's budget. And then the one that they didn't, that just triggered a thought in my mind, because not only that, we were looking at August to August is what we were looking at. One thing that they hadn't picked up on was also, we not only gave raises last year, we gave bonuses last year. That was another $250,000 roughly. So we had a double whammy at the end of the year last year that involved about $500,000 that we spent out of, you know, out of the county funds, not all out of county general, but $500,000 out of county monies. So that was probably one of the biggest licks as far as why we're down. And it also presses the point of due consideration when we go to looking at raises, when we kind of get all this put back together and where are we going. That, along with the insurance increase. I did not make the insurance committee meeting last week, but I know some of you did. The gist of what I heard from the insurance committee meeting was the guy started out quoting a potential 18% increase over our $9,724 annual payment, which would have been, oh gosh, almost $2,000 per employee at 18%. And ended up down around hoping to come in with maybe a 12% increase, which will still be a significant increase, maybe $1,000, $1,100 per employee increase in insurance costs that will be added on to the $9,724 current payments that we're making. So just thoughts in the thought process. It sure takes a lot of the fun out of some of this and puts the pressure on the numbers. So with those thoughts, what we have today, we've got the public defender, Circuit Judge Dan Ritchie, the county judge and county general, the quorum court budget, the circuit clerk's budget, and Mr. Lindenny's budget, and E911. The biggie of all those is Miss Mason's budget as circuit clerk. She has, gosh, Leslie, what, 5?
5, yes, sir.
Kelly, do you care if I share your email? Because there wasn't anything bad in it at all.
No.
This is just kind of a rundown of a synopsis of the 5 budgets that Ms. Mason's going to give to us today. And it just kind of summarizes a little bit the changes and stuff that she's looking for. So, Circuit Clerk Mason, you want to come up and talk to us?
Well, you usually go line by line. Are we not going to do it that way?
We can, but let's start with County General.
Okay.
I dropped all my papers a while ago, and if it hadn't been for Fred Fleeman, they'd still be headed down Walnut. So I'm kind of scrambled here. Here we go.
I stomped on them.
He did. I dropped them. In your county general budget, you're paying for 100% of 11 employees, 75% of the insurance for those 11. Paying for phone and internet out of most of the automation funds when they've got funds available. You added in $9,000 on the county general budget because you've got one fund that's going to be short. We've got rent this year that we haven't had. And you want a little bit of line item, a little bit of miscellaneous expenditure money.
And I can actually transfer into that amount if I need to. There's certain things that come up that I can't pay out of my recorder's cost fund. So that line, I just mainly had her put it in there in case something comes up that I need to pay out of that line item instead of the recorder's cost fund.
But I don't see, I honestly see no major. Of course, I've asked Kelly, guys, I asked Kelly just to put in 12% bump in the insurance until we know different. So if you look at county general, her county general line item on insurance, top of the page, she's showing it going from 77,723 to 86,716. But Leslie has no control over that. You bumped your telephone from 4,600 to 9,000.
Kelly, that was something we had to do, right?
Yes.
Okay.
One of your automation funds is probably gonna be short, so we moved it from automation over into this. She's got a project that we're gonna present to you here in a few minutes. That's gonna be done this year and come out of this year's budget, Leslie?
Well,
The books?
I will have to just, once y'all approve that I can get it done, I'll just have to get a time set up with them. I'll have to find out when they can make it here and when they can do it.
Okay,
I don't have a date for that set up yet at all.
all right. Anything in particular you wanna point out or speak to on your county general budget?
No, everything's pretty much the same except for the telephone, and the rent was in there last year, or this year, excuse me, this year, and then this is next year's. And then the 3,900 rent will be over in my 25% Blytheville, and I will be, of course, I will transfer that money to county general at the first of the year
Okay.
to pay that. And that's for the storage unit. Did you want me to go ahead and discuss the books that we're talking about since you brought that up?
No, let's run through these right
Okay.
quick.
All right,
And then before we leave you, we'll
okay.
go back up and talk about spending more money. 3006, it's number 37, Blytheville Circuit Court Clerk Recorder Act 768. The account number up the top left shows 3006.7087. There's a revenue sheet and then there's an expenditure sheet.
What was the number again, Mike?
3006 for both of them, the revenues and the expenditures. Kelly, you mentioned in our note here that total revenues of 206,000 on the Blytheville 25%. But I'm only showing 48,516. Is that right?
Well, I added the fund balance
Okay.
as of
What it's got in money.
And there's 157,000 in there as of 9/30.
Okay. Cool.
Okay, on service contract, that's going from 17,000 to 35,000.
Because Osceola, 25% doesn't have enough money for me to budget anything out of that. And my 75% recorder's cost fund, that's what I can use to pay my salaries and 25% of all of my employees' insurance. I pay for 3 full-time employees out of my 75%. their insurance and their salary, and then I pay 25% of all of my employees' salary, insurance out of the 25%. The 75%. I'm getting confused. I'm looking at different line. So we've had to move a few things around just because of the way the 75% has less money.
I guess the key take here is that by adding in how much money she's got in there now, and that she's only expending 102,000, that leaves her over $100,000 balance even at the end of the year. You got the bulk of your service contracts coming out.
All of my service contracts except $1,000, and that was just in there last year, so I carried it across.
Okay, is this the fund that we're gonna take the books out of?
The Blyville 25%, yes.
All right, and that's that 13,000 I'm seeing there?
Let me find it. Okay. Under public records photo,
Yes, that's it.
I've got 13,000. I went ahead and, of course, added a little bit extra into that just because you never know what might come up during the year. But that's where the plat books, we have 3 plat books that are the earliest 1900s, and they are in horrible shape. They've never been redone, and that's a big project to take on, and I really need to get that done this year, so I budgeted for that to be done, and I've got
And
a
this is where
price
you were gonna
quote.
put it in the budget?
Yes, and I have a price quote from the
You
gentleman.
wanna go ahead and do it?
Yeah, well, since we're on that
I know you
line.
want to.
Well, since we're on that line, we might as well. Anyway, these plat books, he's got a handout. The gentleman that came by to help me with this, they're based out of Oklahoma, and they can actually come on site, and they bring a mobile work center, and they can fix these books. It's a major process of how they do these. A lot of these plat books are hand-drawn. Way back in the early 1900s, they used to come in and I wasn't around, but I know what happened. They would hand draw the plats. And you can imagine through all these years of being used over and over and over again by abstractors, real estate people, and the general public, those 3 books are in a very, very bad state. And if we don't get them redone now, we're gonna lose a part of history that could possibly never be replaced. And they can take them and they can come pick them up and take them to Oklahoma and do them. But to me, that's not an option, because if something happened to that book while they're driving, and taking those big books that are already in a bad state, plus they are permanent records, then I just don't see I would rather spend more money to ensure that they're on site and that nothing would happen to them.
Are you still just thinking 2?
There's one in Osceola. Since you and I talked, I went down there last week and had to do some things down there, and there's one in Osceola that is in as bad a shape as the two oldest ones up here. And that handout tells you exactly what all they do to the books. It's quite interesting how they can restore old books and try to preserve them for another 100 years, which I won't be here then.
They basically chemically treat them and then put them in plastic sleeves.
They deacidify them. They can take tape that has been put on there and has smudged stuff. They're able to remove that tape with certain kind of chemicals that they use, and I've been interested in doing it for a couple of years because it's been on my mind that they need to be done, and I just think that if we don't do it now, we could lose a piece of permanent records that we might not be able to get them back. Might not be able to restore them.
So the 2 that are listed here are the 2 in Blyville, correct?
Yes, yes.
So there would be one more,
There would be one more added, yes.
so you might say half of that.
And the books themselves, I've had to order plat books for years. They're huge. They're really big, and they cost anywhere from $1,200 to $1,800 or $2,000. So the book itself is quite a big chunk of money just to order a book. So if I wanted to just order a book and just try to stick these down in there and not preserve them at all, you're looking at anywhere from $15,000 to probably $2,000. But they're gonna do all of that and put them into the books, deacidify them, and do all the stuff that needs to be done to preserve them properly.
Is this just a copy of the same, is this a copy of the same plat maps that we would get today, but it's the ones that you use in your office for the general public uses these? Or did
Yes.
use them?
The general public uses them, but your abstractors and your real estate people use them every day.
Yeah.
They're literally gotten into just about every day.
Even these older ones?
Yes, even though.
Really?
Yes.
They have to go back.
Yes, I had one of the, one of our surveyors that wanted to write, a little explanation of why it's so important to them, on top of it, but, he got real busy and didn't have a chance to, but he's one of the main ones that over and over and over again has said, we've got to get that. And I said, yes, I agree. They've been pushed to the wayside by, previously, and it's time to get them fixed, because if we lose them, they're gone forever.
Thoughts?
So the whole project would run about 10.5.
And she's got a request in there for 13.
Like our big folks, would they do those too?
Do they do what?
Would they do those books, big books like our marriage books and stuff?
They probably could, yes. They can do anything, any kind of book restoration.
We have old maps and stuff that we.
Oh, yes, yes. Because that's what these are, is the old plat maps that are, yes.
Guys, any marks, comments? Sticks and shin? Okay, let's move on to 3039.
Let me
Okay,
ask one.
now there we go.
Sorry. Ask one question. So the reason, again, just to make sure I have this clear, the reason that there's an internet expense in the 25% recorder this year is because the other fund is short. Is that right?
Yes.
I would say it's because she's over at South Line.
Just move some things around into different line items.
Yes, you're correct on that.
Okay, but and then the telephone, I get confused about the telephone and the internet. So but the telephone is over in County General? Is that right?
Yes. And it is
$9,000.
$9,000. That would be one of those that would qualify to be in this other fund.
Could it go in this one too?
I apologize, I couldn't hear you.
So could the telephone go in this one in your 25% fund?
I would think that it could. Kelly, do you remember why we put it there instead of the other place?
No.
Okay.
Well, the only reason I was asking is just because you got rent that comes out of the county
Yes.
general. I know you're paying it out of this fund, or that it's going, or
We
doing
transfer it.
something.
Yes, I don't have a problem paying for the telephone at all.
So we'll move that one.
It would need to go to the 25% liable though.
Yeah, 3006.
Yes.
And then the equipment purchase, have we gotten there?
I think she addressed it in her, like it's computers.
What's the line?
I'm sorry, and then the equipment purchase, the 15,000, and the capital outlays? And the 25%?
We always budget because of our file servers. That is just for me to have, they've replaced a few pieces, components in our file server in the Osceola district and the Blytheville district. And I asked him that I need to budget for a new file server for this coming year. And he said that he hopes that it will make it. There may be some components that have to be replaced, but I went ahead and budgeted just because you never know. I mean, file servers get replaced quite often, so I wanted to make sure that if.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, I got you. So it
Yeah.
could or couldn't be
It
there?
could,
Okay,
yes.
all right.
What constitutes small equipment?
Well, small equipment is anything under $1,500. Anything over $1,500 has to go in your capital outlays.
But it's not supplies, it's actual equipment.
It's like your computer, your PCs that cost just say $900, your monitors, adding machines, any kind of small equipment, scanners. Any of my equipment that would go out would come out of those line items.
So a file server would come out of equipment purchase,
Because it's gonna be over 1,500, yes.
and then a PC, just a workstation would be under small equipment.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
just trying to understand
Yes, sir.
some strange.
Okay, so like your monitors and stuff, they were in small equipment?
Small equipment.
Okay.
And in the past, I mean, honestly, it's always been budgeted under the equipment purchase. And then that's like an overflow, like if I had to pay more, then that 15,000 is already budgeted there, and you can, at the end of the year, we can, even my line items out.
Oh, I see. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I gotcha.
Keep it up. Seriously. You're doing great. Doing great. Guys, we good on the 25% recorder, okay? All right, circuit clerk child support 3012. It's a very small account, nothing remarkable either in the revenues or the expenditures. 3012, circuit clerk child support. It's got a revenue sheet and an expenditure sheet. Less than $1,000 either direction. Is that all y'all generating child support?
Yeah, because the state took it over years ago, and we just have certain people that get ordered through the court to be paid in our office still, and have about 13 people, and that's about it. But most payments get paid through the Office of Child Support Enforcement Unit out of Little Rock. But if a judge orders it to be paid through my office, then I have to collect it and take it.
Okay, then moving to account 3039, circuit clerk commissioner's fee. What is that?
Whenever we do commissioner sales, we get a commissioner's fee for doing them.
What's a commissioner sale?
Whenever we have a foreclosure case in our office that we do,
Whatever.
and then the decree, the judge would order us to do a foreclosure sale, and then we have to go down and perform that foreclosure sale, and then however much it sells for, you get 0.1% of whatever that fee is. It's a very large amount. 0.1%.
You actually lowered your request by $1,000 from this year to next year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a big deal either direction, nothing, again, nothing remarkable. 3404 is the Osceola Recorder Act 768. 37A Osceola Circuit Clerk Recorder Act 768. Again, both a revenue and an expenditure sheet. Expenditures just totaled out as 18,000.
And if I can say something real quick.
Yes, ma'am.
On that line item, Kelly, we actually put that 8,000 in the wrong, and that was me not catching it.
Service contracts?
The 8,000 for the equipment purchase should be under small equipment, because I have to get 4 computers replaced in Osceola this year. 2 of the public ones are fixing to be obsolete through Windows, and then Windows 7. So they've got to be replaced, and then 2 of the workstations of my actual employees have to be replaced. And I've already got the price quote on that, and since those are gonna be individual components, I need to move that 8,000 up to the small equipment instead of under equipment purchase, because none of those pieces will be over $1,500 a piece, which will be capital outlays, so I moved it on mine, if y'all don't mind moving it on y'all's.
Any questions, guys? I'm not trying to rush anybody at all, man. Take your time.
Small amount.
Okay. 37B, Circuit Clerk Recorder Act 768, that's account number 3405. Revenues showing request of 147,069. So that's busy. She pays, what, 3 employees?
3 full-time employees and 100% of their insurance and benefits, and 25% of all the rest of my employees' health insurance.
Insurance. Okay, we're showing, even before raises, request of 187,425 against 147, so a $40,000 shortfall between anticipated revenues and requested expenditures. What are you thinking?
We handle it as we get there, and if I have to transfer money, I will.
You got, as of 9/24, you had a balance of 16,148.
That one's
So
never gonna
that's
build
not
up.
enough to cover it.
No, it's not gonna build up as much, because that's where all the larger amounts come out of that, so.
Okay, so when you're saying if we run short and have to transfer some over, where's it gonna come from?
My 25%.
Okay. And that's all before the raises.
The big jump in salaries versus 2018, is that due to the other employee that was added?
Yes, that was the last employee that y'all, yes.
This has, for me, always been one of the most confusing offices to keep the budget straight. I mean,
Who's running it?
since
Wanna
I
come
very
work for me,
first
Michael?
started.
You wanna come work for me?
No, and it didn't start with you. I mean, go back to Mr. Chico and, yeah, I mean, it just goes all the way back. And it's just simply because you have so many sources of revenue, so many different accounts,
We do some.
5 different budgets.
Yeah, we do,
Yeah.
that's because of what we do in that office, that's the way the law is.
Y'all got more hidey holes than I've got glasses to look in, so.
What's a hidey ho?
That's good.
So many accounts.
Let me ask you a question. So now you have service contracts over here that went from, I guess, from 5,000 this year, well, or
To
to
10,000.
10,000. But then you have service contracts over there on the other one.
35,000.
I divide them all up between my revenue, my special revenues.
Well, I'm just asking, do you think that the service contracts, I mean, since you're probably gonna run short in this one, and do you think you should just move all the service contracts over to the other one?
I really don't wanna do that if I don't have to. I would rather wait, and if I fall short, just take care of it that way.
Okay.
Just because next year, then it would be, if, you never can project what my income is gonna be from year to year when it comes to the recorder's cost fund.
Gotcha.
Justice Byrd, do you think?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Guys, I don't have anything else. You want anybody? And see, we weren't terribly ugly.
I know. I'm proud of you.
We're gonna wait till you leave.
Do that.
No, I know it's difficult, Leslie. It's not easy for you. It's not easy for us to understand.
I know, it's a lot of work,
But we know you're doing a good job.
well, I very much appreciate that. I
I
try.
would like to see you go on e-file.
That is going to be something that I have my eyes set on. I'm gonna get on the list.
So, do y'all understand what e-file is? E-file is an electronic system where you went over and you went in her office and she took you over to a desk that she already had prepared for you that had a stack of papers this big that they had to scan in and everything. With e-file, they can do it, all that electronically. The lawyer doesn't even have to go in. He can file all those papers from his office and it goes straight into her office. Now, you correct me if I misstate anything here.
Yes.
Is that not correct?
That is correct. And we just have to pull them up and view them all and check them and make sure they're appropriate before we accept them. You're able to accept them or decline them. And that's the same thing that I'm looking at with trying to start recording real estate online. And that's one of the things, a lot of these budgets, what we have, since we do the real estate, we have a system out there, software. That's one of the reasons our service contracts are so high, because we do so many different things in the office. And the real estate, we actually have an online service that people can subscribe to. We have to pay for it up front, but then we get the revenue back. And so it sort of winds up hopefully balancing itself out. So there's a lot of different, I think we have seven different softwares that I run in my office.
So do they, you said that's in place, so they use that, they're able to do that right
Yes.
now?
They can do a subscription to it, and they can search online, and then we receive the revenue, but we have to pay for it every month. So in other words, we get that statement, which is a service contract, we have to pay for it, and then we get whatever we generate back, a portion of it back.
Okay.
And then anybody that wants to subscribe to it online can go online and look. We've been doing that for quite a few years, and everybody really likes that. It's just a service, it costs a little bit, but you do get a little bit of revenue back on it, so.
Do you think that's picking up? You think more people are using it?
A lot of people use it. Ashley actually keeps up with my bills on mine. It's quite a bit.
It varies. Well, there's several online users, and there's some that just come in the office and just use their, use it with their print copies in-house.
But we have quite a few online
Right.
customers.
Yes.
And they're from all over the state of Arkansas, and some that aren't even in Arkansas.
Right.
So if you went to e-file, what would you have to do?
E-filing would be the same, e-filing, e-recording, and e-filing would be basically the same thing. You would receive that document through email.
I mean, do you have to
would
do
open
like
it
a
up.
software update, or how would?
Yes, I would have to get on track with the Association of Arkansas Counties on
Okay.
that. You have to subscribe and get on the list, and then
No, if you Am I correct that if you go, I have to go as well?
I'm not 100% sure on that. I have a lot of questions that I need to ask this
Seems
year.
like I recall when they first came, they said if you went, I had to go.
Is that a bad thing?
Maybe. I don't have near as much money as Leslie has.
Oh, but you got us.
Okay. Well, then no.
See, it finally came out. Thank you, Michael. Yes, finally. It finally came out.
Did you record it? Did you record it?
Hey, Stephen's recording it. Yes.
Guys, on the e-file system, one of the things that caught my attention about it is when I passed these out, y'all have seen these numbers, and Leslie's got a copy of it, and all this isn't anything good, bad, or ugly, it's just number comparison about employees, office employees in similar sized counties and in the second judicial, and then it also refers to the number of 2018 case filings in those respective counties. And one of the other class 4 counties, along with Mississippi County, was Hot Springs. And where I was showing 12 employees in Mississippi County in Leslie's office. Hot Springs was only showing 4.
Do you know how many courtrooms they have and how many terms of court they have? Because that
They
varies.
got 17, almost 1,800 cases that they file, which is a little less than half of our, well, about half of what we do, 3,600.
Do you know how many circuit judges they serve?
I don't, no, I don't know what judicial district they're in. I
Those are
was just
questions I would like to get the answers to. I'll find out though.
going
I'll
by
do
the
some-
number of case filings, so they've got half the case filings we do. Our 3,600 of theirs 1,771. But with 4 employees, and I called her. I said, "Is that for real?" And she said, "Yes, it is." And I said, "Well, how can you possibly keep up?" And she said, "Because we're on e-file." She said, "It just made all the difference in the world, and if we were not on e-file, there is no way possible that 4 people could do 1,800 cases." And so it just caught my attention that it's got to be a saver.
Yes.
So we're going to get to reduce her office by about 4 or 5 employees.
Oh, that's what I was hoping.
Yeah.
Not when you add to our courtroom.
Yeah, not with all of our courtrooms and court we have to do. And that's what I'm gonna have, actually, I'm gonna talk to one of my judges who has done a study and have her come and give y'all some statistics on Mississippi County in relation to the rest of the state of Arkansas and our court system. It's pretty amazing and staggering how high Mississippi County ranks on a lot of things.
Is Craighead, they're in our judicial system.
Yes. So
Are they on e-file?
They have 11 circuit judges just like I do.
Yep. Are they on e-file?
And 12.
Or do you
We're
know?
fixing to add a 12th one, yes, thank you. I think she went on e-filing, yes.
Because
A lot of the larger counties are on e-filing. They always use your larger counties first to be the pilot program for that, and then you get on a waiting list, and then they try to work you into that system, so.
reason I'm asking is, she's not quite twice as large as we are. We've got 3,600, they've got 6,700 cases that were filed in 2018, but the same number of employees. So it just makes me wonder if they're not on e-file also.
I don't know the answer to what they do in other counties. The only thing that I can say is I know, and Mr. Bird, when he came and sat in there, and I'm not gonna say anything about any other county that I don't know, but Mississippi County received an award 2 years ago, and we were one of the only 2 counties that received that award for how accurate we put our information into context. And that was out of all the counties in the state of Arkansas. We were ranked, out of all the counties, we were up there with the first top 2. So I'm very proud of my employees and the quality of work that we put out there for the public. A lot of people just do the basics and get by with what they can get by with. But when we took our training, they let us know how important it was statistically and everything else for us to put everything in context that they ask for, and we try our best to do that. So I'm proud of what we have accomplished in Mississippi County as far as what we put out there for the public.
Gosh, no telling how good you'll be with e-file.
You never know. But now e-filing doesn't input your codes and stuff. You still have to have people to do that.
Anybody got any questions of Miss Leslie?
Let's move on.
Moving right along. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. We got Mr. Lindeni here, and we made him sit through the longest portion of the deal. I'm sorry. 911, emergency fund. He has both a revenue budget and an expenditure budget. He's the rich man in the county,
Other than Bill Nelson.
other than Bill Nelson. That's correct. That's correct.
We're closing in.
No.
David, refresh us right quick on where your revenues come from.
Cell phone money, voice over internet, landlines, and there's some other little ones in there. I can't think of the name of them right off the top of my head. But they've recently been combined in a state law that was passed last year or this year, and it's all going to take place. Where they upped our revenue that will be coming in. So we're going to have an increase in revenue this year, but they have not advised us of how much that will be. But they're combining the voice over internet and cell phones and those 911 surcharge fees that are out there all under one fund, and we'll be collecting that and then remitting out a portion of that as it comes in.
911 PSAP fees.
Public Services Answering Point is the acronym for the 911 dispatch system.
Anything you want to just,
There's really not much that has changed. I think I upped the equipment lease a little bit. It had gone up a little bit, or it looked like I was going to be a little bit short, so I made a correction
Who's
there.
in the salaries besides him?
Everything's,
who besides you is included in the full-time salaries? It's you and 2 workers?
yes.
Is that right, Kelly? 3 of them?
There's 3 of them that are coming out of there, plus there's 6.
Oh, that's right. We've got the
dispatchers.
dispatchers,
He pays half of them.
the 911 dispatchers, Bill.
No, that are in the, with the sheriff, or in the,
Are they still in the sheriff, the police department?
Where they at? He asked, are they still in the police department? They're not. They're out sheriff's
Yeah.
department.
Everything's
now.
at the sheriff's office.
Everything's at the sheriff's department. We moved it all out there. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 slots total. 2 sign maintenance workers. The rest are in communications. Looks like one's open of the moment. You want to take a peek? Thank you for having me.
Yeah, Kelly gave
Oh,
it.
Kelly gave it to you? Thanks for having that.
what's in the contract labor?
That's my mapper, lives in Sherwood, Arkansas, and my 2 employees that work for my office when we need a road line put on our map or a house point, and I send them out. They take their GPS equipment and capture that. They bring it back to the office. I bring it into my computer and process it, and then I send it to my contract mapper in Sherwood. He brings it into state standard and then forwards that to the Arkansas Geographic Information Office, who is over the statewide digital map for Arkansas.
How, isn't it every 5 years or so? Sorry, you want a copy of this?
No.
How often are we upgrading the equipment?
Every 5 years.
That's what I thought. And we did it in 2017?
Yeah.
I'm looking at the expenditure, $259,000 back in 2017, so we shouldn't have to worry about that until 2022? 5 years?
Around there, yeah.
Just be there when I need you. Can we do cell phones yet?
You talking about location?
Yes.
I think we're already there, aren't we?
For the location, or are you talking about texting?
Neil gets lost. calls on
Oh,
the
yeah,
cell phone.
we've been doing the locations for a long time. They find hunters that get lost out at Big Lake based on their cell phone location. And
Yeah. If you run out of gas in your boat motor out there fishing, they'll come find you.
probably be the CV squad.
What's the next upgrade up that you expect? How are we gonna get better?
They are creating an internet just for public safety, and that's going to be for the 911 system. And all of this information that we're getting, and it will enable us to share more information with the officers and other institutions, will be that internet. It's that next generation 911. And as I understand it, one of the ways we could save money is we could partner in with Craighead County and maybe another county. We buy one server instead of each one of us having to buy all the equipment like we're doing. Then we could kind of share our information or leave it residing on a server in Craighead County or Crittenden County. And when a call comes in, it would be pulling information from that server.
Would that be wireless or fiber optic, or how would that information be shared?
Probably be fiber optic, I would imagine.
I'm thinking in terms of major earthquake sitting on the New Madrid Fault.
Right now, it all goes over trunk lines anyway to get to us.
Yeah.
Because everything goes to Jonesboro first and comes back to us. That's where our central station is.
Guys, y'all see anything at all in there?
Kelly, what did you have for the 3080 public record software? I made a little small change and I didn't know.
1100.
It should be 1160 because I was unsure of one price on that software. I'd like to increase that 3080 up to 11.
It was 1,200 last year. You want to just move that straight across it this time, Kelly? Just move it. Yeah. Second page on his expenditure budget. Public record software, it was 1,200 for 2019 and they lowered it down and we're just gonna move it back up. From 1,100 back to 1,200.
But the good news of all that is I will be getting more money next year. Probably later this year and in the years future than what we're getting now.
Good.
We've been able to get by pretty good, so I'm hoping that the new money coming in, we can do more.
Anybody got questions? Thank you much, Mr. Linden. We appreciate you. I'm gonna jump to Circuit Judge Dan Ritchie right quick because there are no changes. Dan just asked Kelly to bring his straight across. He's gonna end up being our only judge in Mississippi County, it looks like, when Judge Wilson retires. We have 5, Leslie, is it 5 open slots that we have in the second judicial for circuit judges, or is it 6?
Yes,
I do believe it's
5.
5?
Yes.
Isn't that special?
Yeah.
So we'll see 5 races this next time, 5 new judges. So,
Has anyone from our county filed for
nobody's filing.
Ralph Wilson?
I would encourage any of them to consider it at least. any of our lawyers. We've got a lot of good lawyers in Mississippi County. Public defender. I got something for that. I think, let's see if I can find that. I hate that I got scrambled a while ago.
This is John Bradley.
Yes, this is John Bradley's office. I like Mr. Bradley. He's quiet. He does his best.
We don't do anything for Leon Burrows. That's not public defender, that's prosecuting attorney. We don't do anything for him, do we?
No. Now,
What you looking for?
here it is. That's what I was looking for. This is just a letter from Eddie Jones on how our responsibilities fall.
This is good about writing letters.
It just kind of tells you a little bit about what we are required to pay for and what we might not want to pay for. It quotes the laws that are involved in it. Direct obligations of the counties regarding the public defender's office is for the cost of facilities, equipment, supplies, and other office expenses necessary to the effective and efficient operation of the public defender's office. These costs should comply with an itemized line item budget appropriated by the quorum court. Then he quotes a particular state statute that does leave the door open for paying for personnel. It adds to the list of what counties can pay for the compensation of additional personnel within the Office of Public Defender when approved in advance by the quorum court. But the Arkansas Association of Counties never recommends that a county do this. It only makes it more difficult to get the state to pay for what they are supposed to be paying for. So, I just wanted to share that information with y'all for whatever it's worth. I'm not, nothing judgmental in that,
So do we pay them?
ma'am. So, take a peek at his budget. Here's what I'm looking for. He's not wanting to ask for an increase in any particular line item. He's carrying it straight across, but his secretary's fixing to retire, and she's been part-time, and she's going to want to go to he's going to want to go to a new full-time position. He's had a part-time slot budgeted this whole year, but's not been using it. He just hadn't found the right person. Needing some new computers. Got a quote from Norris for $3,477 for 3 computers, not including sales tax. And it's possible that his building may be sold and his rent may go up.
His secretary is his wife, is that correct?
That's correct.
And his investigator is who?
Ma'am?
Caitlin Adams.
Caitlin Adams. There she is, right at the top of the payroll there.
So his
Caitlin
wife
Adams.
is retiring?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I guess I was looking at the open, and who is the one that's open?
There's nobody in it. He has an open slot that he's not had anybody in all year.
For a long time.
Yeah. So at this point, technically, Kelly, he's not asking for anything, is he, other than, he's just trying to give us a heads up of what might come?
So I'm just making sure that I'm using the email in references. So the email is recommending that we do not pay for his secretary or his part-time investigator or his investigator. The email's recommending that we don't pay for any of these people?
That's what it says.
I mean, he can put it in letters or something.
The state's supposed to be paying for that, but we don't have do we get anything from the state? Peggy, as far as the public defender's office, do we receive funds for their funding? We do, don't we?
We do get something from the public defender, but I don't know if it directly pays for his stuff or not.
Remind me, unless you and I kind of look into that, please,
Yeah,
ma'am.
we can check and see.
Let me give you one of these so you see where we're coming from. I'll get you. I'm afraid you'll go over.
State's got the money, they have a big surplus every year.
Do not drop these again.
It's your heavy breathing.
Okay, so under the law, it says these revenues are to pay for only what under the law. So we will only be reimbursed for this list here, the facilities, equipment, supplies, and other office expenses. Okay.
They're supposed to be supported by the state. But if Peggy will work with me, she and I'll investigate this a little bit further.
Does every county have a public defender and a secretary?
I would say, hey, Leslie,
Oh, yes.
this is out of your bailiwick a little bit, but wouldn't you expect that every county would have a public defender with the secretary in office?
I don't know how they could do it without one,
That's what I'd think.
because they even come to court with them. I mean, both of his people come to court with him.
When he
During
comes.
criminal court, they sit there and they have.
Supporting.
Well, yes, and they have to, like, talk to the defendants and get information on them and fill out paperwork and all that, so I don't know how they could do without one.
I don't need any. I don't know how they can do it without one.
So, yes. Okay, well, going straight across like it is and just being with our eyes open and the fact that we'll do a little bit further investigating, unless somebody has a question, we'll bump right along for a second. Ma'am, don't excuse me.
He is asking, since he has not used the part-time money, can we move that to small equipment and he can go ahead and get the computers this year? That,
We're liable for the computers anyway.
but I'm gonna have to move it from one line to another, so y'all have to.
Y'all have any problem with that? I don't. Do you understand? Did you hear?
Doesn't matter if you do, that's good enough.
3,000, 3,100, something like that.
It matters a whole bunch.
34.77 before tax.
He's wanting to take some, that unused part-time salary money and buy 3 computers with it.
Who is?
John Bradley. And go ahead and do it now, so he can get his computers, rather than put it in the new budget for next year.
He probably needs to do it now, because they're probably running on Windows 7. January the 15th.
Yep.
Well,
We
it
do
never
have one?
falls under
Okay.
what the state will pay for.
Yeah.
I mean, so.
Yeah, I'd say it'd be fine. So, Kelly, you wanna go ahead and move that? Do we need to do that in appropriation, or can we just, clean it up?
I think that we don't have to do an appropriation.
I didn't think so. We'll do it in the cleanup budget. Okay.
He's gonna have to be notified though.
Yeah, you'll do that, won't you, Kelly? Tell him. County judge. Talk to us, Kelly. We don't have the judge here today. Did he request anything in particular be changed or made different?
I hadn't talked to him about it at all. I was hoping he would be here too.
Mike, I know all of these are putting raises in, and we haven't determined raises. Why are they doing that?
At my request, just to give us a
All
comparison.
right, so what if we get at the end we tell Kelly whether the raise is gonna be 1%, we're gonna do insurance or what, law, you know, whatever. So how is she going to be able to pull out raises to give us an exact figure?
Okay, so in the general budget sheets that we're getting, the next to the last line item, where it says 2020 request, is without any raises. That's just bringing the salary straight across.
And that's what we've been basically looking at.
Yes. The far right line is the request with raises.
So it's simple.
Yeah. We can take the one.
I was just asking for Kelly because she was worried about it.
She was. Yeah.
Thank you.
Just looking out for you.
So really all you've done right now at this point is just run it straight across.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. Now, Judge Nelson may come up with something different here in the next week or two. I have no idea. I will be speaking to him, I hope, after we're through with the meeting right now, today.
Do we want to hold that one until,
Yeah, let's just pass through and then give him the option if he wants to change something, he can, and then bring it back to us before we close out the budget.
but we still have a couple more too.
Yes. The last one today is going to be the Quorum Court, our own budget.
Boy, I can't wait to get in on this one.
You know, we are bound by state law as to what a JP can make based on the size county that we belong to. But it's on a population basis. When we dropped below 50,000 in the 2010 census, we dropped our JP numbers down from 13 to 11. And but it didn't change our maximum salary.
Per diem.
We can set our own per diem at whatever amount we want to, but we have a maximum that we cannot exceed, and that maximum for us has been $8,734, and we divided that up to $309 per diem. I mentioned this to Kelly the other day because I said, you know, and when we talk about raises and 3% raise or $1,000 raise or $2,500 raise, the JPs are the ones that do not participate in that. And then when we've talked about the possibility that we might, at some point, I'm not saying we're going to do that this year because I'm one guy out of 11 JPs, but I have mentioned a few times that we might eventually have to go to a cost share on insurance. And that it might be to the point that we could give effective raises that would cover the bulk, if not all, of that cost share on insurance. And I was just pointing out to Kelly that it would be the JPs that would be the ones that would be on that short end of the stick, since we can't cover ourselves with raises if you were participating in the insurance program. So Kelly did a little bit of research and called Little Rock, and I knew that occasionally they do give us a cost of living raise. Once in a while the state will do that and allow that for the JPs. They have done that, and we can raise our max to $10,125 now. And if we wanted to keep the meeting numbers the same to allow most of the JPs to get close to their max, then we could raise our per diems from 309 to 350. And that's what I've asked her to do in this budget. So it'd be the first time we've increased it in 3 years.
I don't think it's been increased in 5.5 years.
Is it not?
Not
Has it been
since
the same?
It's been.
Well, I knew it'd been at least 3.
It's been, ever since I've been on the court,
I've been here 7 years. It's been the same.
it's been the same ever since I've been.
Okay, well, do y'all have any gripes if we increase it to the, and all it is the state max. If you don't make the meeting, you don't get the pay.
Right.
Rick Ash has hired me to be his attorney, and he's got a gripe.
Wow, I do? Okay, let's hear it. I want to know what it is.
But anyway, that's the biggie there. Kelly, anything else on the quorum court budget?
I'm just curious, the advertising and publications, were those the things that we had to put in the newspaper? Okay.
When we do an ordinance, we have to publish that in the paper when we do bids and stuff.
And that's, we also pay for that journal we get from Washington. What's it called?
County Lines?
Yes, County Line.
County Lines magazine. Y'all get a subscription to that. Sometimes they're pretty good.
Sometimes it's just TP.
As far as the budget process is concerned, today's October the 7th. 3 Mondays from now, I will be out one Monday, the 28th. I'll be gone, but I'll have 2 more meetings. I'll be here next week and the week after. I'll be out the 28th, I'll be out of the country, and then I'll be right back for the next Monday. So I will miss one Monday, the 28th. We have 3 major budgets still to do before we complete this process. We have the landfill budget, the road department, and then the 2 budgets out of the sheriff's department. We've got sheriff's department budget, and then we've got the jail budget. Tony Stone is working on the road department, correct, Justice Lehman?
That's what I've been told.
And the judge told us that the other day in our road department meeting, or road meeting. Justice Burge, you're working on the landfill budget?
We should have it next Monday.
And then Justice Ash.
I think we'll have ours next Monday. We're gonna meet Thursday at 1:30.
At here or at the sheriff's department? So that'd be your fire, police, and safety committee?
Safety meeting, I think we'll have it. I think he's pretty much got it ironed out. We just want to go over it with the police and fire committee so that everybody understands what we're looking at.
Just a reminder, everybody's on that committee. So, if you have the time and would like to attend, I'm sure. We had the same thing with the road meeting, but it rained on the one day we were hoping to go out to the landfill, and there only ended up being 3 of us that were there, but it was a good meeting. I thought it was real informative, didn't you, Justice Fleeman?
Sure did.
I was glad to see Tony Stone back and the work that he's accomplishing. The judge is doing a good job of running the department. So that's where we're at. We've got those 3 budgets left, and I don't know that we'll get them all next week, but if we could wrap most of the budgets up in the next 2 meetings, then we'd take a break and kind of put expenditures all together, balance them against revenues all together, and see where we stand. And then that first week in November, try to make things balance out and start talking.
Should
what are
have
we
the
going to do?
insurance first of November too.
Yeah, if we got the insurance in there, and then we can talk about employee compensation. Can we not? Remember a while ago, we talked about the fact that County General dipped pretty hard this last time, but we spent $500,000 in employee benefits that we hadn't before, increased employee benefits. Part of that comes out. The bonuses come out, because I don't think anybody's intending to bring bonuses up this year. So that's not going to happen again this next year, but it's just something to kind of keep in the back of your mind. Kelly, there's something about a company coming, needing an ordinance. Is there
Are you on for finance?
yeah.
I don't know anything about it. Are we doing our regular monthly meeting next week too, since you'll be here, we'll just do that next week too?
Is that okay? Yep, okay.
For informational purposes, we were kind of holding the landfill until we did the bid openings. And we did do the bid openings last Thursday, I believe it was. We had 2 people bid. And the bid came back about 10% above what FTN had estimated, about 2.2 million on the 2 sales, the 2 new sales.
That's class 1 and class 4.
Class 1 and class 4. So that will be included in the new budget.
Will we do them at the same time, try to open at the same time, or?
Yeah, they were all, and the bid was for both projects.
Okay, the landfill is one of our larger budgets. It's also one of our larger pains in the booty. It's just come and gone with administrations. How do you feel financially about this expenditure coming up of over $2 million?
I haven't looked in the last few days. What's our balance, current balance?
Well, on the 24th, Peggy, did you bring a new one today?
Then,
Oh, what you got?
1.4 million.
1.4. And then we have the revenue from the month of September that probably has not been
That's
transferred.
correct.
Right.
That's right.
And it's a big month.
It's a big month too, so we're probably looking at ending the month at about 1.7, maybe 1.8. I don't expect these projects to go forward probably until we still owe we owe about 201.6. We may be able to pay for it as it's completed. We should be able to.
Well, it's a long drawn out
It's
process.
a drawn out process.
Takes several months.
Several months.
So if we award y'all didn't award the contract, you just opened
Did
the
not.
bids.
Did not.
When would you think it would start?
I'm guessing they probably wouldn't get started until something maybe the earliest 1st of November.
When the weather's
And
turning
they have
bad?
90 days, I think. And then, we're gonna be right in the middle of winter,
Mhm.
so it's gonna be kind of drawn out. It's gonna be close, but there's
But you
good
think we
chance
can do it?
We're gonna be pretty close to paying for it.
I think if the landfill can sustain itself, I think
Best-
that's a wonderful thing.
That's the best we can hope for, because there's constantly new things that you have to do and all the ADEQ things and everything. But the landfill can sustain itself.
Okay.
If we watch the money real closely.
And I know you'll share all this in the budget next week or whenever you're able to, but what about equipment thoughts?
There's some equipment that the leases are running out on, but that's just a matter usually of just rolling the lease over and new equipment. We are, the judge, I think, has worked out, Kelly, you correct me if I'm wrong, looking at a new process of covering. It's that we've talked about it before, it's a plastic stuff. And that piece of equipment is about $82,000. It will fit on the compactor, but then we're gonna need about 55,000 a year in product to plastic.
Ceramic.
So that's gonna be an expense we haven't had before. But it's also gonna should relieve some pressure, hopefully, on manpower. We'll see how that goes. 'Cause we-
Land on dirt.
Will that plastic cause the materials in the landfill to compost? Is it gonna cause enough heat? And
I don't know about that. The only understanding that I have is that what it does, it lessens tremendously the need for cover dirt. Because you don't, the process, the ones that I've looked at online and read about, you lay the plastic down 4 days a week, and then the only time you have to cover it is on a Friday. You have to cover with 6 inches of dirt. But the next day, you spread it with your compactor. The next morning, you run over it with your compactor, which compacts it down, and I would assume would aerate it too, the prongs on that compactor. The big difference is when you're putting 6 inches of dirt on there every day, when you remove that, supposedly you remove that to put the trash back on top of the trash, but you can never get it all off. So you're filling up your airspace with dirt. So your cells should last conceivably, and the information, everything I've read and everything, it makes your cells last so much longer.
I think, yeah, does Greene County Tech do that?
Greene County Tech does it. I think Jonesboro does it too. Yeah. So it's hopefully it's going to be. We always have a problem down here where our bar of dirt is because it's low.
Yeah.
And water stands all the time, and the guys have to go and try to stockpile dirt up here before to use every day to cover. And I think it should speed up the process of closing down every day. You just run the compactor over it and spread the plastic and cut it off and go home. So I think it's
I
gonna
mean,
be,
they don't have to uncover it the next morning or anything, just,
they do not uncover it. They just run the compactor over it and it's ready to go.
So they work right on top of the plastic you put down the previous day?
Yes. Yes. It's my
I want
understanding.
to see that.
That's right.
It sounds like it's gonna save you about 10 feet of
I would think
airspace.
so.
It will. It will save a lot of airspace. And that's where, you know, when they do the calculation, the engineers do the calculations on the life of a landfill and everything, it's all based on the airspace. So many cubic yards or whatever. That's the value of the cell you're working in, is if you utilize your airspace correctly.
I'm just curious, Michael, what was the reason we didn't move forward with that before?
money.
With,
Judge Brasfield looked at this, we talked about it then, but to be honest with you, that's when the landfill had borrowed $750,000 from county general.
I thought it
And,
had been longer than that.
no, it was, and, she was honestly really determined before she had to leave office that she would have that back even again. And, she was cutting every corner she could cut. She cut personnel, she cut hours. We are back to overtime hours again.
we're
Is
back
that
to the
correct?
overtime hours, yeah. Yeah.
Gracious.
We're gonna talk about that in the new budget too.
Good. They're staying open longer?
An hour longer a day, per day.
Did it help anything?
No,
It's cost money.
Then I've got a solution for overtime.
revenue has not increased any, so that's the ultimate.
Didn't increase the revenue
Did
any,
not
but it has
increase.
run our overtime up.
It has run the overtime.
Okay. Alrighty. Peggy, you got anything for us? Come on, chicken. You hadn't been able to poke at us in a while.
No,
It's just a pleasure to have you back in our meetings.
I'm glad to be back.
But really, you don't have anything
No.
particular? Janice, got much? You're such a happy camper.
I am.
Always. Kelly, what am I missing?
I think you covered it.
Cindy, anything out of the judge's office?
Nope.
Stephen, anything out of the judge's office you know of, sir? Girls? In that case, thank you very much. We'll see you next Monday.